knobbing cars in general scare me, so that's why I don't race them now. But back then you had to, so you're racing your balls off for $1,400. So
it's the Indiana motto right there.
Yeah.
50 cars, let's go.
Dillon Welch, Kyle Larson, Brad Sweet with you, fresh off of another night of high limit sprint car racing at the 34 Raceway in West Burlington, Iowa. And Anthony Macri picked up the win there. Zeb Wise was second. Kyle was third from 10th. So we've got a lot that we want to talk about, and a lot of different topics, so we can jump right into it. Kyle, I guess, again, your night seemed like you guys got rolling, kind of in the middle part of the race, and then maybe faded a little at the end. Zeb was certainly, really strong at the end, but just talk about your night and then kind of how you felt in the feature.
Yeah, I felt really good. Second night out, I mean, I'm happy with it. I felt like we had a shot to win. You kind of hurt ourselves in qualifying. We just missed the front row of a heat by one spot. My first lap was going to be really good and got over the cushion into 3 and slowed me down. So then the next lap, I just kind of ran 90% to get a safe lap in, and it wasn't much faster than my first lap. So ended up 5th, but had a good battle for the dash spot in the heat, just came up a little bit short. Then yeah, in the A, we were strong. We were able to drive up pretty quickly. Felt like I had a great car the first half. Just cautions weren't falling for me. Every time I'd pass Macri, really, I think I passed him 3 times and the caution would come out before we all got to the start finish line. So would have to go back and had another restart where I restarted 4th and got to the outside of the leaders and them peck flips. So just cautions didn't fall for me. I think if any of those cautions happen a lap later, I've got a much better shot to win, but we still had a shot late, just, came up a little bit short, kind of ran out of laps and got over the cushion, trying to, make something happen of that last lap and fell back to 3rd. So it was a bummer to give up a spot, but all in all, I was happy. Nice to get another night on the tires. I definitely do feel like there is a difference. But, I do, I think, for us to run 5th at Lakeside and 3rd last night, I feel like we're close. So, Paul's really good and I think is going to get our car better once we get racing more and should hopefully win a lot of races.
Brad, you were whipping people into shape on the radio from what I've heard, but how would you kind of evaluate the night for you guys? I know it was a little bit more of an effort just to kind of get the racetrack and the pit area and everything in raceable shape, but thought it was another great night of track prep from you guys, and track was really racy at the end of the night.
Yeah, honestly, 34 Raceway, they did a good job with the racetrack. I mean, with the rain overnight, there really wasn't a whole lot we could do. The moisture was in the track from the rain, and you kind of get what you get. So I thought they had a smooth surface, and we tried to work it, in as much as possible through the night to create that 2 lanes for the A main. The top ended up getting pretty tricky. Watching from the infield, it looked like it almost became, unmanageable at times, but guys were making it work at times. The bottom was, slow and tricky. The middle groove was there at times. So, I wish the cautions, didn't fall. I think it could have turned out to be a much better race, but, from our standpoint, we provided a pretty good surface. So, just happy to get it in. It was a chilly night, still a lot of learning, on our end to make sure we get the show, super efficient and super good. So yeah, I think we're, learning each night. I still think there's good room for improvement, but overall, happy with how it turned out.
When you're watching Kyle, are you rooting for Kyle? Are you just full promoter at that point, or is he your brother-in-law?
I said he was the one throwing the banana peels out there.
That's right. You did say that. Yeah.
No, to be honest, what I'm cheering for as a promoter is a good show. I honestly, I'm looking for just something exciting. I want the fans to be into it. So I know we have the talent there. I know it's my job and the other track prep crews to get the track in good shape so our stars can put the show on. So I'm honestly just cheering, for if it's Kyle to make it an interesting race, then it's Kyle. If it's someone else, I'm cheering for them at that point. I'm the ultimate promoter. So I felt like the racing was good. Kyle, I was watching intently. I mean, it's hard to ever take your eyes off Kyle because I'm always interested in, his driving style and the moves that he can make. And, I'll see his car do something one lap and then he's able to counter it really well with how good he is. And so, I could see him trying to work the middle groove. I could see that, like, when he'd give it a little too much throttle, he would sit in his left rear and kind of, he couldn't get it to do exactly what he wanted it to do, but he was certainly searching. He got his wing back and it made it interesting. So I thought Anthony Macri did a really good job. Obviously, like Kyle said, if he would have gotten ahead of him, I think Macri would have had a hard time passing him, but Macri did a good job being patient on the bottom. And I think that's what you had to do. He ultimately got the good restart and got ahead of Marks. And Buddy was starting to struggle a little bit on the cushion. The cushion was tricky. So overall, good racing. Those guys were on it. They're all driving really hard. And you could tell that, they all want to win the 23,000. That's for sure.
Lap traffic was a little dicey there at the end too, huh, Kyle? Did you get into any of that stuff at the front?
So I watched the highlight back there and I think Macri passed Holly Giovanni and there was just a lot going on from my seat. So there was like some white cars and then I ended up getting by him and then I got over the cushion and I didn't realize who I was passing, if it was him or whatever. It's just kind of a white car at that point. And then I got over the cushion and Zeb got by and I thought he might've been the car that we were lapping. I didn't even know, I thought for sure when I passed the line, I finished second and then Zeb pulled over the scales. I'm like, why is he pulling over the scales? I ran third, but traffic. We finally got to traffic, and it was getting interesting, very interesting. And then as soon as I got to second and clear of the traffic, the white came out, and I was like, dang, I can't believe it. Didn't feel like we ran that long, but just the cautions kind of plagued the race a little bit. I think it was going to be an awesome race through lap traffic. Just with how technical the track was. But Anthony did a really good job. He plugged away at the bottom, kind of stayed committed to it the whole race, really from the dash on. He was plugging away at the, creeping around the tractor tires and did a really good job. So hats off to him, great win. And we'll try again next week.
Brad, are we going to have a come to Jesus meeting with your car owner and Blake Hahn here? Are they all good this morning or this afternoon? Have we gotten an update on that?
Yeah, I don't know if they're all good or not. I always say cooler heads always prevail, and it seems like the next day when you sit and think about it, you kind of it doesn't ever seem to be as an angry of a situation as when you're in the heat of the moment. But I don't see where Blake was angry at Kasey. Going back and kind of really looking at all the replays, Blake was up in the front, spun out. Kasey was in a beehive nest and cars were going each way. And I felt like Kasey kind of had nowhere to go and got into Blake. I didn't really think Blake should get out of his car and hold his hands up. And, now looking back on it, that's what then got Kasey and his crew guys mad. And honestly, rightfully so. He's got a torn up car. He's obviously not happy. I think it's one of those deals where you just leave it alone. And both guys walk to the trailer pissed off that their cars are wrecked. But, placing blame on one or the other, I don't see that benefiting either guy. So I think it was a lot of heat of the moment. I don't think Blake needed to be mad at Kasey. And obviously, when you're pissed off and someone holds their hands up, if it was me, I probably would have hit him. So, that's just me. I'm redheaded and I get angry really quick. So I honestly think it was good that it was just like a war of words and, maybe a little pushing and shoving, a little scuffle, but you have to be ready if you're going to talk. Sometimes that gets you in trouble. So I'm just glad it's over. Glad it wasn't anything worse. Glad drivers are okay, man. These wrecks, from the infield and my perspective, they're scary. When, you get there, you just hope everyone's okay. So, hopefully everyone can calm it down next race and we can have a much cleaner event. Yeah,
well, and certainly, we did have a couple the other night, and obviously I think the one that everybody's probably most familiar with, I guess, is the Connor Morell, Alex Bowman incident. And thankfully, they both got out and obviously walked away from the car. Alex, as you know, as we learned, is going to have a little bit lengthier recovery. But you know, we were talking before we started recording, right, about just some of the safety things and maybe how you prevent things like this. But Kyle, I kind of want to start with you, right, as a guy who has long been a champion of being able to go and run, you know, other stuff outside of just what you do as your full-time, you know, kind of job. Like, it's important, right, for these guys to be able to go do this kind of stuff. It's a passion for you. It's a passion for Alex. It's a passion for all these guys that want to go race dirt cars and be able to do it. Right.
Yeah. And I think, you know, obviously number one, it is a passion. You know, everything that we do outside of our job in NASCAR is a passion of ours, you know, whether it be skiing or snowboarding, which, you know, Chase unfortunately got hurt earlier this year, or me racing, you know, sprint cars and dirt cars. Like it's a passion, but for me, it's more than that. You know, I think on the driving part of it, and I think, you know, Alex as well. I've read articles that he's been in with Jeff Gluck where he's, you know, using dirt racing as a tool to push himself into uncomfortable situations, to, you know, push himself to get better for Sundays. And that's really the main reason why I do the dirt racing is yes, it's a passion, but I feel the more opportunity I have to race, the more opportunity I have to get better, you know, hone my craft, sharpen my skills, sharpen my reactions, and ultimately benefit me, you know, for Hendrick Motorsports on Sunday and allow us to go compete for wins, compete for championships, which I think all the dirt racing I did in 2021 was a big reason why I won the championship that season. I don't know, you know, yeah, potentially could we have won the championship without racing a single dirt race that year? Sure. I don't know, but I do feel like all the dirt racing I did helped me stay sharp, helped me keep that confidence throughout the year. And, that's a good thing. You know, that's the number one thing you need as a race car driver is confidence. So there's all of that. And then I think too, you know, it's still a business for me. You know, I'm not racing dirt stuff for free. Like I'm not going there, not racing for the purse. I'm going and making a really good living outside of my job in NASCAR. You're racing dirt cars, you're winning races, you're getting a cut of the winnings, selling my dirt merchandise, which does really well. So yeah, I mean, I need to be at the track to supply for my family and supply for myself. So there's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, I understand the risk, as we've seen all sorts of drivers get injured, you know, throughout the years. And I think a lot of your recognition is brought to it when, you know, high profile drivers like Tony Stewart or Alex Bowman get injured. You know, unfortunately, guys like Brian Clausen or Jason Leffler losing their lives. But so it's just tough. You know, it's tough to kind of argue it because, you know, there is guys getting injured. But, you know, an argument I guess I have is, you know, the sample size between dirt racing and NASCAR is just not the same. You know, there's 40 racers, you know, call it 100 or 120 racing on Friday, Saturday, Sunday in a NASCAR series race where there's thousands of dirt racers racing on the weekend. So the opportunity for injuries is higher in dirt racing because there is more racers, there's more races. You know, it's hard for me to, I don't know, feel the argument and I hear it, but you know, I love doing it, and then I feel like it makes me better.
And that's just it, right? It's like, I mean, you can get injured getting out of bed, stepping onto the floor, it's like it can happen anywhere, right? So I think that's the argument, and you know, Talladega too, obviously is a, you know, perfect example of that, right? You're in that situation. It just as easily could have, you know, turned into something worse, and thankfully it didn't. But Brad, in you know, the safety side of it, you know, for you kind of as a, you know, as a guy now as a series director, this type of accident where the frame rails hit the back of the frame rails hit the ground and stuff, it's a common thing in sprint car racing that we've seen cause injuries. But you were explaining something on Kasey's car that, you know, maybe is a way to help lessen the severity of those impacts. And it sounds like a couple other guys are kind of signing off on that as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, Kyle and I, are now stepping into this role, influencing leadership role, for sprint car racers. And I think we want to use our platform, to acknowledge these accidents and then try to figure out how to make sprint car racing even safer. I think, this is a pretty common, if there's an accident that seems to occur more often than other crashes that create this type of injury, it's the frame rail is hitting the ground. And the way I look at it is energy, as the car's coming down, there's energy. Your body's in motion and has energy. So when it stops, the energy goes to your body, your bones. So it's obviously the back then sees a lot of that impact. So, they are figuring out, there is a seat system that Kasey Kahne and I believe Logan Schuchart have implemented where the seat's now mounted on like pucks, like hard pucks. So as the impact happens, if it's hard enough when the frame rails hit, now the seat actually can, those pucks can actually move and absorb some of the energy and take away from the back. And, I remember Denny Hamlin, crashing at California and his rear tires came off the ground, and Eric Almiro's tires come off the ground. And NASCAR, it went from a quarter inch under the butt to a half inch to an inch. And they have a team of people that are literally, working to figure out how to solve that type of injury. And they implemented rules and did lots of testing and lots of research. We just don't simply have that in sprint car racing. But now Kyle and I, with the resources and, working, with NASCAR and with this company, I believe it's called Capsum. I'll have to get the exact name of it, but Kasey uses the system. So, I think we're moving towards a safer sprint car, a safer situation and those types of impacts. And, I just think it's really key to learn from what NASCAR's, learned on their side. And, it's the same accident. It's just, if you fall off a bar stool 3 feet off the ground and land straight on your butt, you're going to hurt your back or break your back. It's just the energy goes to your back. And, we have to acknowledge those crashes. We have to make the sprint car racing safer. And I think the tools are starting to be there. So hopefully in the next few years with Kyle and I's influence, we can, help champion that effort to make everything safer.
You talk kind of about energy dissipation and stuff and Connor Morell's side of that crash, right? I mean, the car just disintegrated, right? I mean, it ripped the left side down tube off the car. Like, what did you see there as far as what the chassis did and how the car, kind of absorbed some of the energy as opposed to the driver?
Yeah, I honestly am baffled by that, how mangled that car was. I don't know what type of tubing they were using or if they've, done something or if it was just legit those impacts. Cause that's just wild to me how damaged that car was. I honestly haven't seen a car that bad and maybe ever, besides maybe my car when it split in half, a few years ago. But yeah, I'm certainly glad that Connor was okay. Cause after seeing that car, he obviously took some pretty big impact. So I think they're doing a little more research on what happened to that car and why, it was so mangled. So, but the frame or the engine even, it came out and the tubing was just mangled. So hopefully we can get to the bottom of that. But I do think, the car obviously took a brunt of that for him to get out of that car. Obviously the car took a ton of the energy and took a ton of the hits, and the tubing bending and stuff's obviously, good for him at that point, I think, to help him walk away from that.
Well, enough of that. I think we're certainly glad everybody's okay, all things considered, and certainly hope that Alex is on the mend and gets feeling better soon. So on to some racing stuff now. Kyle, I guess I don't think we've done a show, since you won at Eldora in the modified, right? So seven wins in 7 different cars at Eldora. That's like that place is like your personal ATM now. What other car? We need to get you in a Eldora stock car to make it 8, and then
I guess is that the reason for the toast this week? The modified win?
Well, we can do that. Sure.
Yeah.
We didn't do one at the start of the show. So
we didn't have enough of a reason, but now we just remembered that Kyle won a modified race.
Yeah,
so there we go.
It's been a long week. No, that was cool. It was definitely a fun week of racing for me. I did a lot of racing and I don't know, 4 different types of cars in a week, I guess. Modified, dirt late model, cup cars, sprint cars. So a fun normal week for Kyle Larson, I guess. But no, it was cool. I went there to Eldora in the Modified hoping that I could win there. You know, I knew going there that I'd won and everything that I've raced there before. So wanted to be in great equipment. So called up Justin Allgaier and he had mentioned to me, you know, a few weeks ago, he's like, hey man, like anytime your schedule works out and you want to run Modified, like just let me know. So I asked him 5 or 6 days before the race, and you know, him and his family and his team, hauled the car there for me. So it was a lot of fun race for them. They were super laid back. I haven't spent much time around his dad before. He was super nice. So it was a lot of fun, and having, you know, my buddy Nick Hoffman running his chassis and having him there kind of running the sticks for me and helping out was cool. So that car was just like crazy good compared to the field. So that made it a lot of fun and made my job look a little easier, I guess. The late model I sucked in, so got to get better at Eldora for sure. But the Modified was cool. You know, feeling like I had more grip in the field was nice. What surprised you about driving that? I mean, obviously it's like a lot slower and lazier probably than even the late model, I would imagine. But what took some getting used to maybe about driving it? Well, honestly, it wasn't much slower. Like when the track slowed down, I actually ran faster lap times than I did my late model. So it didn't feel way slower. It just felt like I had more grip, which is opposite of what everything and everybody had told me. You know, everybody was like, oh, you're getting in a real race car now, you know, these skinny tires and you're gonna have no grip. And man, I felt like I had more grip in that than honestly a lot of the cars, you know, maybe because the horsepower is a lot less and stuff. And the car was just so good. But I had more grip than I thought I would have. You know, I could pedal it and get grip whenever I wanted. I could find, you know, some brown and get grip. It was just fun to drive because of that. And the steering, I mean, it drove a lot like a late model. The steering was just slower. It was just, I don't know, just I could feel like I had to turn further. And then once it would get turned, I was like slow to get back, you know, correcting, I guess. But once I got the hang of that, you know, that took me a bit in the heat race. You know, I kind of faded early in the heat race and then got lucky with the caution and had a good restart and won it. But just getting used to the steering for the first few laps was difficult. Yeah, that's interesting. We're headed to Kokomo next week with the High Limit Sprint Car Series, back-to-back races, of course. I'm going to pause here because we need to get Brad to watch this video so he can comment on this. Brad, you're on your phone, right, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out how we can get this video to you so that you can watch this. This is
I bet I've seen it. So you could just tell me which one it is.
It's a compilation basically of you from 2005, which there's not actually I guess any Kokomo footage in this particular video.
Let me guess, me flipping out of the ballpark at Hobbs.
That is a highlight. So yeah. So the point of it, we were just going to talk about, you know, some of your early days of racing at Kokomo, even in some of the non-wing stuff and Kyle stuff too. And I want to, since we're talking about this, I want to talk about that 2005 year for you when you moved to the Midwest with Heavy D. You're, you know, trying to make it. This is the OG Brad Sweet, right? That people forget about sometimes.
Everybody forgets about.
Yeah. So
they think I grew up in some rich, like big family money team, but they forget that. Yeah, 2005. I think in that video, I'm on my 4th car and 5 nights at Indiana Sprint Week because I either got fired or destroyed each car along the way. So. But yeah, when I went to Indiana in 2005, Kokomo had just rebuilt their track. So like all the videos I watched at Kokomo was like this flat quarter mile. And then when I got there, it was like all new wall around it, and it was just my favorite track. We would go there on Sundays and it was just badass racing. And I fell in love with Kokomo, always have loved Kokomo. And some of the best races I've ever seen have been at Kokomo, non-wing, winged, anything. So, yeah, so it's been fun, but 2005 was, you know, a year where, I learned a lot. I came to the Midwest to, basically become a sprint car racer. And I did it with, a buddy, a small truck and trailer and one car, and basically begged, borrowed, and stole to do whatever I had to do to race, and had a lot of great people help me, but certainly had to, get through a lot of adversity. Certainly makes me appreciate where I am now and the journey that I've been on to get here. I do wish people, could understand, what I've gone through to get here. I do feel like people, kind of missed that about me, just because I did get linked with KKR and been able to, have a great career, with Kasey. But it was a long, hard journey to get to that point, and then also to keep it, keep the opportunity. So, it's pretty cool to come full circle, to bring a series that Kyle and I are starting up back to Kokomo, kind of where it all began for me.
Give us a good Heavy D story. I know there's like a million out there, but give us.
I'll do one at Kokomo.
Yeah, give us one.
This is a great one. So Heavy D and me, there's so many good ones, but this one always stands out to me. It's not even at the racetrack or anything, because, we'd go race and Heavy D, we didn't have money. We would just, whatever we'd make, they paid cash at the pit window at the end of the night. You'd get that cash. And then me and Heavy D would live off that cash for the week. And we would run Friday at Bloomington, Saturday Lawrenceburg, and Sunday Kokomo. And then we'd get enough money and then try to get through the week. For whatever reason, we had a pretty good weekend. I hadn't given Heavy D any money, but we used to go to Buffalo Wild Wings in Kokomo Sunday night after the races. And, about halfway through, it's Bill Rose and just a ton of these guys that would go there, probably 30 people, say. Heavy D about halfway through the night's feeling spunky. Tabs on me, starts doing the hey, everything's on me tonight. We had a good weekend. And I'm like, man, where did he get the money? But I ain't asking too many questions here. So it's getting pretty late, getting maybe close to last call. He goes, hey, I'm going to go pay the bill. Just go get the truck running. He comes, I'm out there. He comes sprinting across the parking lot, trying to pull his pants up, running, because he's, and he, I'm not proud of it, but it was a long time ago, but dine and dashed, right? The whole bill. But he left Bill Rose there. So then they stuck Bill Rose with the tab. Well, our little Ford F-350 can only go so fast down the road. So we can only go like maybe 55, or we start overheating real bad. I go, man, Bill Rose, that big truck's catching us back there. He catches us about halfway to Indianapolis, flipping us off, mad as could be, throwing chicken wings at us. But it was just, it was just one of those deals where you look back and we were wild, reckless, and having a good time. But Heavy D was one of those guys that's just the life of the party, and always made everything a lot more fun.
That's awesome. Oh man. And Kyle, I don't think you've had some good stories, but I don't know if there's ones that are quite Heavy D level, but Kokomo for you is kind of a place that, when you moved to the Midwest too, where, you were a Sunday night guy, you raced there a lot in a lot of different cars. And, I imagine for you too, going back there with High Limits, a pretty cool deal too.
Yeah, definitely. I ran just a couple wing shows there, but a handful of non-wing shows, a lot of midget races. So, I also love Kokomo. It's a fun, exciting track, sketchy as can be in the turn 3, qualifying, getting as close as you can get to that opening there. So it's fun. I love that part of it. I was I didn't run for points or nothing at Kokomo, but there for a couple months, I feel like we ran most of the local shows, in the 1K, Avery Vineyards, non-wing car with, Rico and Davy Jones. That was 2012 still, honestly, to me, is like the most fun I think I've ever had racing. We were just crazy, like kids, kind of like Brad and, Heavy D on the road. I was me and Rico living with Davy Jones and being stupid and, lighting bombs off in Davy's backyard, getting the car.
All right. So I stand corrected. You do have some crazy stories.
Yeah. It wasn't with Heavy D. It was with Rico. So, I look back on that year and like, wish I could go back to it and just like see it through my own two eyes again, but some stuff not. But Kokomo was always fun. I won. I don't know. That might have been. So Kokomo to me I struggled there the first few times I ran. Like I would, you look at me now, like I'm pretty crazy, right? Like out of control, but also in control, look, on the edge, wreck hard, all this and that. But early, my non-wing stuff, when I would run Kokomo, I never left the bottom, never, ever left the bottom. And I would run, second, third, and was just scared of the top. And the night, I think Sean Buckley just posted it the other day. They used to have that TV series. But anyways, I won. But I remember in that race, I think I beat Grant and Scotty Weir, something like that. They were in it. But anyways, I got to the lead, I think maybe past Wyndham or something. And I got to lead and I was like, oh shit, like I can't run the bottom anymore. Like I know the top's faster. And I was so scared talking myself from the top, and ended up winning the race and was like, man, that wasn't too bad. And it was kind of good at Kokomo ever since then. So that was just a lot of fun. I like I said, I really missed that year of racing with Davey and Rico and Dalton and Dylan and Michelle. Like just living there was so much fun.
Why?
Hey, kiddo.
Yeah.
We almost killed Davey multiple times too.
Why did the top scare you so much there?
It was just always curbed up in Davey runs a tight car. Like, dude, I would literally feel like I'm going to flip over backwards just by myself running the straightaway down the backstretch. Like it would wheel me up and wanted to flip over backwards. So I was always scared to move around. And I just remember 1 and 2 would be like slick to a curb. 3 and 4, you have to run straighter and it's a curb. And, you just see cars flip there a lot. So non-wing cars in general scare me. So that's why I don't race them now. But back then you had to. So racing your balls off for $1,400. So
it's the Indiana motto right there.
Yeah.
50 cars. Let's go.
Yeah. What, and you guys can both chime in on this because you both run non-wing and wing stuff there, but is it a different racetrack in a wing car? Does it, obviously you have to drive it different, attack it differently, but does it, is it a big difference between the two?
I'd actually say less of a difference than most other tracks. I mean, you really have to commit in 3, whether in a non-wing car or wing car qualifying, like you definitely want to open the entry. You just drive a non-wing car a little more sideways there. Wing car is just a little straighter. But yeah, I mean, they're both pretty aggressive. There's just some little things that are different, but the wing car you're just going faster in the wing car. For the most part.
Kokomo, for whatever reason, is just like it's a great racetrack, but it's a weird racetrack in that I feel like everything that you race there, you run similar, right? Like I ran a midget there, non-wing sprint car, wing sprint car. I even tested a late model there last year. And like all of those, you run similar line, you run just as hard as one another. Like angles are all really similar. So it's just got that unique shape that, to go fast around there, you have to kind of run a certain lane in a certain way.
Yeah. Fun racetrack for sure. That'll be next week, May the 2nd. And of course, back-to-back weeks here of coming off of a race at 34 Raceway. All right. Final thing before we go, we're going to introduce a new, I guess we can call it a game, and it's hold 'em or fold 'em. So something you like in racing, something that you don't like in racing. Doesn't have to be high limit specific. It can be anything that you want to keep, that you want to get rid of. Brad, I already know Brad's answer, so we can start with Brad. Hold 'em or fold 'em. What do you got?
You're going to put me on the spot here.
Well, you gave us your answer earlier, so don't you have it in your back pocket already?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say that for our high limit events, eventually fold them on support classes, just because we are getting such big car counts, and I think that we can control the show a little better if we don't have that support class moving forward. But no disrespect, just something I think that will make the high limit brand a little better.
Yeah, I think we didn't expect to have mid 50s for race cars. So that's why we initially scheduled support divisions, I guess.
All right. Well, we got Kokomo Thunder cars next week. So buckle your seatbelts, folks. Kyle, hold them or fold them. What do you got?
I think the choose cone went a lot better this week.
It did.
I think, at least for my seat, and I didn't hear anything else about it, but I felt like the choose cone went a lot better. The cone was a different color. It stood out. I think the drivers were all more aware of being ready for it. We had a light on it. So I thought that was all better. So I'd say hold that. Fold them. I don't know. I mean, I would agree with Brad on the support divisions, but I'm trying to think of something else. I don't know. Fans will probably say fold it, but I think I'm mostly saying this jokingly, but dude, I love starters. I love late models and their starters, and the show just goes way smoother. So I would not be opposed to having starters on sprint cars someday. I know not anytime soon. And please don't.
Hey, you start with convincing Paul of that, and then you get past Paul. Then we can actually have a real conversation.
I was gonna say they had
Paul, if I tell Paul you can be home an hour and a half earlier, he might go for it. So
they had him on midgets back in the day. There's a video I've seen on USAC's archives somewhere where they were testing it at IRP.
Dude, the show just goes so much faster. You can be organized and staging before you ever roll out on the track. Like, dude, that's been the biggest thing about late model racing that I love is just the flow of the event. And it starts with starters.
Sprint cars, bud. Sprint cars don't have starters.
I know. I was at Talladega. I was at Talladega short track racing late model. You know, the late model is the premier division that night. And, you know, the sprint cars were the support division. And, dude, it took an hour to get hot laps done. I was like, sprint cars are the worst support division. I mean, starters on these damn things. So, but yeah, no, sorry, race fans, don't kill me, but maybe some starters.
You're definitely gonna get hounded on that one.
Kyle Larson.
You might want to cut that one out.
Kyle Larson, certified late model guy now.
Yeah,
you can print it. All right, we got to go here. We're going to wrap this one up and head to Kokomo next week. Driven to Save Lives, the presenting sponsor at Kokomo. Great to have them on board. And of course, we hope to see all of you there for a rare appearance with the Wing Sprint cars at Indiana's baddest bull ring. And if not, of course, you can watch it live here on FloRacing with the rest of the high limit schedule. Guys, thank you. Good luck wherever you're at this weekend. I guess, Brad, you're going to the St. Louis, Hobstadt area, and Kyle, where are you guys at? Dover, I guess, this weekend. So good luck, boys, and we'll see everybody in Kokomo.
All right, thanks.
Yep, appreciate it.